edition of the On the Mic podcast, and it's my favorite time of the year because Bellator is doing an event in Dublin, Ireland once again, and I feel like every event it just gets better and better over in Ireland. And this is a guy I've been wanting to talk to for a while, and I'm super excited to welcome him on the show for the first time. John Kavanagh, as coach at SBG, had a lot of praise for him. He is a very much a part of the golden age in Irish MMA right now. One only Ciaran Clarke. Ciaran, how are you?
All's good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming on, man. No better way to get your career started. Obviously, I mean 5-0. How would you sum up how your career's been so far?
Yeah, it's been great, to be honest. I was able to obviously, have me all 5 fights in Bellator, and yeah, it's been brilliant. I mean, obviously, I stayed very active at amateur and stayed there for a while, and built up the experience, and I think that probably stood to me then, being able to sign for Bellator for my professional debut then, and obviously getting the 5 wins is great, and how I was able to get my wins in Bellator with the 3 arena shows, and so it's been great, man.
Yeah, the two things I want to touch on there, one being Bellator, but also you talked about, staying around your amateur career a little bit longer. For you, was that something you had planned when you wanted to start making fighting a career? Did you feel like it would prepare you better as a pro rather than taking 2 amateur fights and trying to jump in immediately and become a pro after like 2 fights as an amateur?
Yeah, of course. It was definitely, I think I went both hand in hand. I didn't say to myself, look, I'm going to have X amount of fights, but it was just how I felt as you said, like I wanted to take this as a career. So I said, look, I'm going to get to it in a level where I feel I'm ready to go professional. And it just took me 24 fights to, and look, I mean, you could have went before or after, but for me, it was just getting the experience amateur and fighting the best guys. And I had a 13-11 record at amateur, but I was very proud of it in the sense that I fought everybody. I went to the World Championships 3 times and represented Ireland 5 times in international tournaments, won national titles and all the rest, and picked up wins and losses against good guys, fought the wrestler, fought the striker, the grappler, the brawler, the Russian, the Brazilian, you name it, I've done it all. So so I'm very proud of that, and it obviously stood to me going professional then.
Well, there's no secret that Bellator loves finding talent quickly, early, kind of how, they got you and you started your career with Bellator. No disrespect to any other promotion out there, but to come in and start your career with a promotion like Bellator, and they've put you in a place to not only succeed, but where they're highlighting you each and every time now that you're fighting, this upcoming fight included. What does it mean to you to have started your career with Bellator and continue to climb up their ladder because they're giving you the stage to really show out, and you're doing that?
Yeah, it's brilliant, and I think I've definitely earned that, because when I started my professional career, I was, before I had a fight, I actually was a swing belt on the night, and I was in the blue corner, and so it wasn't always rosy, and then even look at some of the matchups I got, and it was, I certainly earned my way with them, and I think especially after the 2021 November card, I really established myself with them, and from then on out, I think they were like, you know what, I've never said no to a fella, and that is the truth. I'm in the big leagues, I'm in Bellator now. There's no building records. It's here I am now, and I just fought who I put in front of me. Obviously, I bring a big crowd to the night. Have great support from my local town and Drogheda, and all that I think is just a package when it comes with me. So obviously, I think I paid me dues, so it's great that I'm getting another main card slot. I mean, up there with the likes of Yoel Romero and Benson Henderson fighting with a teammate of mine, Peter Queally, and it's brilliant, man.
It absolutely is. And man, I'm going to ask you about, fighting in Ireland and all that. I know I don't look it, but I am part Irish. So that's on my bucket list to attend a fight in Dublin. I won't be able to make this year. But, when you talk about and you look at your career, and we've seen it time and time again with Bellator, like I said earlier, finding talent like you means so much to them as it does the fighter. What would it mean as you continue on this path to get that Bellator title wrapped around? I'm not saying it's happening in 2 months, I know you want you know how you want your career to play out, but everybody fights to be a champion, and I know you do as well. So what would it mean to have started with them and one day in your future wrap that belt around your waist?
Well, I mean, that'd be amazing, of course, and it's obviously it's everybody's dream to start the sport. And but to be honest, I'm not looking that far ahead as of now because I've such a big task in front of me now, I have a good challenge in front of me now, and I just take each fight as it comes, and that's the way I've approached it. Always, all I can do is focus on the man in front of me, and yeah, it's been working so far. And obviously, the wins will come, and I don't really focus too much on the goal, if that makes sense. I don't look too far ahead. I focus on the task at hand, and that's another fight in front of me. So, I mean, yeah, I'm happy where I am now at Bellator and looking to keep climbing the ranks and hopefully stay undefeated now in 2 weeks' time.
Absolutely. And I will ask you about your opponent and your upcoming matchup, but I'm always fascinated when I get the opportunity to talk to, like I said, truly my favorite brand of fighter is the Irish MMA fighter, right? I mean, also boxers, but the Irish MMA world, it's a different world out there. And over here in this, I mean, talking about a fight in Dublin, talking about so many things that happens when your country puts on a show, especially a Bellator event, it's unreal. But for me, when I'm looking at you and your career and where you've been at so far, obviously SBG, obviously Coach Kavanaugh, he speaks very highly of you without mentioning all the teammates you've had and the other famous guy that everybody knows from SBG. I'm trying to do an interview where I don't say his name in respect to every Irish fighter, and you got to pay him his respect. But at the end of the day, your coach has the highest praise in the world for you. It truly is a golden time in Irish MMA. So with that being said, just what have you learned? You took all these fights as an amateur. You're just going about one fight at a time mindset, which I absolutely love. What have you learned from your teammates at SBG and your coaches at SBG that have allowed you to approach your career in a patient, intelligent way?
Well, to be honest, like I was very lucky to be surrounded by the likes of, obviously I suppose the original golden era of MMA, Irish MMA, which was obviously Conor, Paddy Hula and Ash Daly, Cottle Pendra, Chris Fields, to name a few, and Gunnar Nelson and all the likes. So when I had came to SBG, they were all on the rise and they were storming the UFC, and I was lucky to be a part of that and involved in some training camps and seeing the hard work and the training involved, and just to be around them characters every day, to be training with all the likes of these guys, it really gave us, the motivation and inspired us all to know that we can reach these heights in the sport. And then obviously what Conor did then, of course, as you mentioned, I mean, it will go down in history. I mean, he changed the sport, and I truly believe probably we wouldn't be sitting here talking to you here now, and without what he has done for us all, and even the likes of Fighters Pay and everything else. So I mean, it's such a massive thing, and then the sport in Ireland itself is just completely blown up. Like, it's just, mixed martial arts here is a very big sport, and we're doing so well at the international tournaments, from the youths to the seniors, and it's unreal, like, really just blowing up since that. But now it's our kind of turn now at Bellator, we're all, myself, Peter and Pedro, Sinead, all the other guys, in fighting in different promotions, and the likes of other lads fighting in PFL recently, and it's brilliant, it's kind of our turn now, and what we've learned is just that the hard work is paying off for us, and we've seen that early on, and now it's our turn to show.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can, for the viewers of this, if you can, and I didn't want to make this about him, but if you can kind of, because you mentioned just how big, he changed the sport, especially over there in Ireland. But as a fighter, especially in that same gym, like, there are fighters all over who want to be the next so-and-so. And I'm not saying you or anyone in that gym wants to be the next Conor, but when you're of Irish descent and you're working your way through this career, and you're watching someone like Conor doing what he did in the sport and how it changed globally, not just in Ireland, what was the impact for you that Conor had, and really Irish MMA as a whole, and how did it influence you to know this is how you were going to approach your career?
Yeah, it's as I said, I mean, you know, Ireland being such a small country and but having such a fighting, you know, a big fighting history, and you know, the fighting Irish obviously, and having that culture we have about us, and I think, to be honest, we kind of all seen ourselves in Conor, and you know, we all could relate to him. And another big thing as well is that he stayed in Ireland and got to the levels he got to, became a UFC champion, didn't have to go to the States. And, you know, whereas we all thought, you know, that's why I think Leon Edwards is such a big success story. He was able to stay in England and get to the UFC world title. So, and really that's why they got behind them, you know, whereas other kind of fighters, when they're, you know, they venture off, and there's nothing wrong with that, but Conor was able to stay homegrown in Ireland with the team that he came up from the start. And as I said, it just really reinforced the work and the you know, the level of training we have here in Ireland, and then the coach we have in John Kavanagh. I mean, is you know, it just really you know, puts the I suppose full stop on the training for us. You know, it just goes to show we can compete with the big dogs. You know.
And what does that mean to you for your career, Ciaran Clarke, when I say that you're a part of this new wave of generational talent coming out of Ireland, that, you know, there's going to be a younger Irish young man watching you fight in 2 weeks, and we'll talk about your fight, and they're going to watch you, and they're going to look at all your previous fights, and they're going to research you, and you're going to pave the way for the next generation, but you're only just getting started. So what does that mean to you?
Yeah, it means a lot, to be honest. I never really think about that, of course, but I mean, you know, to put it like that, it is brilliant, and I think I probably would be a good example in the sense that I had the long amateur career, and you know, I was able to fight then professionally. My career out as of now at Bellator on such a big stage, and again, it's just, I suppose it'd be another example of, you know, you can do it, and you know, it's I suppose another path you can take, and it's quite surreal, to be honest, to think about it like that. But I suppose I was looking up to Conor and the guys, and now maybe I'm an example, or I don't know, but there you go.
I'm going to tell you right now, you are an example. Every time you go out, you compete like a veteran, and you know, you're just getting your career kicked off. I promise you, we're going to talk about your matchup here, but if you can, and it's one of my favorite things, and I'm not just saying this, but my favorite events to watch are these Bellator Dublin events. It's just, there's no better atmosphere. That's why I said it's on my bucket list. Can you describe not just what it's like being there, but what it's like competing inside the arena when everyone, like you said, you know, this is where you grew up, this is where you're from, everyone's watching you on that night. That young boy I'm talking about maybe in the stands that night. So can you put in perspective what it's like to be there on fight night with everyone chanting your name and the national chants, and everybody's going, your teammate Peter Creeley's setting the roof off the place? What is it like being in there?
It's very, very hard to explain from my perspective, of course, but to be honest, it's something you have to experience, and it's great to actually experience that as a fan as well, you know, or to be there as a teammate, you know. I did it some years ago, watching the likes of my other teammates, Reggie Swan and Blaine O'Driscoll, and the lads fighting for Bama in the earlier days, and then, you know, it was inspiring to think, you know, geez, that could be me one day in there, and then obviously the UFC doublets and whatnot. But yeah, to be doing it myself, and when you come out onto that ramp, and it's the energy in the place, and it's like, you know what, it's unbelievable when you finish the fights. It's so hard to describe it. You really feel an external I don't know, energy, you know. It's very weird to explain. It's just, you feel it, you know, and it's just it's unbelievable, and it's very, very special, you know. You feel the pressure, you feel the you know, the anticipation, everything. You feel it all, and you really feel, you know, that everybody's behind you, and it's an extra reason to go in and get the job done. And so far I'm undefeated inside them walls, and I'm looking to keep it going, like.
And you will look to keep it going on September 23rd at Bellator 285, also known as Bellator Dublin. We take on Georges Sasu. What does this fight do for you, and how are you looking at your opponent coming into this one?
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's tough lad. He fought a teammate of mine that travels over and back to our gym, SPG, Ellis the Blade, obviously a very well-known high-level kickboxer, and he had a good fight against Elias. It was a split decision loss for him the last time out, but it was very close. Could have went either way, I thought, and it was very close fight and closely contested, obviously. But I think, just watching it from what I could see of his fights, he fought a bantamweight before a few years ago. He's a win over a guy that's in the UFC now. I won't try to butcher his name there now, but he's in the UFC. He's a Chinese guy, and he has a win over him. So he's just a solid lad. I couldn't find too much in him, but like what I've seen, he's good kickboxing. He stands tall. He's rangy, and he probably look to keep standing with me, and he can mix it up everywhere. He looks like he's tricky off his back, and so I'm expecting a tough fight, but I'm well prepared. Train with all the best guys that Ireland has to offer, obviously, and I've always people coming over from Europe and train with us, and obviously my coach John, we think we have this guy's number then as well. So,
did you? When it comes to preparation, I know you said you couldn't find too much on him. Is it something? Do you attack your preparation and game plan where you'll go back and watch film, or where your coaches watch film, or are you just focused on honing your craft, mastering your skill set, and just really focused on yourself? Because we know how MMA is. Your opponent can change 17 times before you even get to the cage. But how do you approach your preparation? Is it more film study, or is it more just focusing on yourself and your skill set?
So as far as the opponent, obviously I watch him and I see how he carries himself, what type of person is he, and I kind of seen him at the last Bellator show, and I could kind of I was sizing him up a bit. I was like, that could be someone I could fight, and this kind of crack, But just watch his fights and see how he moves and a few tendencies. But I definitely not obsess over it, and I would spar guys that I would think could is similar to him, and or better, obviously, of course, I believe they'd be better, and so that's the type of training I would do, and I would obviously, you're working things that you feel is going to work well in the fight and stuff. For the most part, to be honest, I'm focusing on myself, because I find when you go into a fight and you're thinking about what he's going to do, you're waiting for the reaction, you're waiting for him to do what he's going to do, and you're thinking, right, I have to watch for this or that. Whereas if I'm going in there, I'm thinking, no, I'm going in there to do what I'm going to do, and then he's reacting to me. So that's the way I feel, and that's the way I approach every fight. He's reacting to me, and obviously there's things I have to watch out for if he's a good, certain things he's good at. But for the most part, I'm focused on myself, and I'm just going in there to put my pace in him.
Yeah, they make them fight your fight. I think you've done that very well throughout your career. And I won't keep you for much longer, but I don't normally ask this, and you seem you are very humble and very gentleman-like, but I do have to ask, do you have a prediction for this fight? I hate asking that question, but I just got to know.
Look, I think it's going to be a tough fight. I think it's going to be, first round will be, I'd imagine everybody's a good first round, as you imagine. And look, the way I look at it is I could go in here and could catch him in the first round early. If I do the right things, I think I could get a first round submission, or first round stoppage, or if I have a tough night, a close fight, it could be second or third round, and it's hard to say, but to be honest, if I was to think about it, it'd probably be a second or third round finish. I think second or third round, late second round, third round.
Well, a couple more here, and again, really appreciate your time today. And like I said, huge fan of you as a fighter and a person. So having the opportunity to talk to you means a lot to me. With that said, you mentioned it earlier, fighting with the likes of your teammate Peter Queally on the main card, obviously Yoel Romero and Manhoof on that co-main event. What does it mean for you to kind of open the show for them on the main card? And also, by the way, that one caveat, you're doing it in Dublin.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And as I said, you so early on in my career, really, professionally, and here I am in main cards and stuff, and you would imagine that it would be at least 10 fights or whatever plus fights in, and here I am doing it in Dublin. So I'm just very grateful for Bellator to give me the opportunity, and I'm just really looking forward to living up to the challenge and roll on now 2 weeks.
I cannot wait for it. If this if all goes according to plan, do you want to fight again by the end of the year? What's your timeline like for the rest of this year after this fight?
To be honest, I'm not sure of the conversation hasn't been given across to me yet. So I suppose get this one out of the way. Please God, another win, and look, does that late start of December, mid-December would be great. But I'm not sure their plans with Bellator Europe, or would they like to get me into the States or elsewhere? I'm not too sure, but we'll see what happens now for the rest of the year. But again, just focusing on the fight now in 2 weeks, and after that we'll have a talk. But it would be great to get one, maybe December. That'd be a nice time, and then we can enjoy the Christmas and look forward to the new year then.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want an extra 2 paychecks right before Christmas, right? But I'll say selfishly, I know they're coming into Chicago in November, which is where I'm from. So would have loved to seen you on that card. But you're gonna set the stage on fire at Bellator Dublin in 2 weeks on September 23rd. Ciaran Clarke, cannot thank you enough for your time, and hopefully we could talk again after your fight. I wish you all the best, and like I said, I'm a huge fan of you both inside the cage and outside of it. You're doing this career the right way, and I have the utmost respect for you. So thank you very much, and I hope we could talk again after your fight.
Really appreciate that. Thanks very much, and hope to talk to you after the fight.